U.S. Senate candidate Graham Platner recently went viral on Tuesday night for his answer about basically it's a question on trans rights.
I would love to be out protesting. I would love to be out knocking on doors. But I'll be honest, a person like me could get killed right now in this country. I believe in you, and I believe that you are a better man than you once were in the past, because I'm a better person than I was in the past. If I stand with you, will you fight with me? Will you stand up for me?
I firmly believe that every single American has the right to live the life they want to live in their own body as they see fit. I also fully recognize that as a cis white male with a bunch of tattoos and a long combat record, that I get to put myself out there in ways that other people don't. I just want to tell you, this is why I'm doing this. I am doing this because I know that I can say things, I know that I can have conversations, I know that I can knock on doors in places that a lot of other people can't have access to, that a lot of other people won't feel safe in. That is a responsibility that I feel, and it is why I am doing this. And I just want to say thank you, because I know how hard this is. Yeah, I just want to say that, yes, I will absolutely stand next to you. And if we ever have to go knock doors together, I'm happy to stand by your side.
Okay, so this is the guy that some people seem to think is a Nazi. I'm not exactly seeing it. It doesn't really sound like something a Nazi would say. I'm just saying. And yes, I know about the tattoo. I know about the really offensive Reddit posts. He used gay in a derogatory way. He's made a lot of offensive comments in the past and has, work history that isn't exactly great. Okay. On that, though, I don't know. I let me just say that I think that people can change. I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, and I'll totally admit that. I mean, I was wrong about John Fetterman, right? That I thought he was, a decent guy. Turns out to be a complete and utter piece of crap. So I could be wrong. And maybe I'm a little too, eager to forgive people and, whatever, right? And that would be my mistake if I happen to be wrong. That said, I do believe that people can change. And I do believe that people can be better than they were before. All right. And look, I'm going to use myself as an example. When I was in high school, homophobia was everywhere. And in the past, I said things that I deeply regret, all right, about the LGBTQ community. And let me just add that nobody here is born to be a perfect leftist. No one does that. That doesn't happen. And a lot of people becoming a lefty is an evolution. Usually because you end up learning more about the world and you mature and you develop empathy, right? You basically become woke, okay? That's the word for it. You become woke, awake, aware, all right? And so I kind of think that the left could stand to be a little bit better at encouraging people to be better, to make that journey, and to welcome them when they do make that journey, okay? And I understand that there are people that, might game that, might take advantage of that. You're going to have that, I think, in every kind of movement. But for me, it just seems like going through a lot of effort it would be him going through a lot of effort to try to lie and mislead a lot of people for, no real reason here. Okay. Now, Platner told another town hall last week that, I used to hold different opinions. He said, I grew. I met new people. I learned of other people's experiences. I realized that the more open I could be to listen to other people's stories, the more open I was willing to be to extend compassion and empathy to others. Yeah, that's what happens. That is absolutely what happens. Now, Alex Teetswald, deputy editor of the Mid-Coast Villager, said that exchange displayed how Platner is, quote, getting people to forgive him. And spoke to Sammy, that was the trans woman at the campaign event, as she was signing a volunteer form to help the candidate's campaign. Now, Platner's response said Sammy was, quote, what I hope to get. Quote, it's very easy for a lot of politicians to sweep us under the rug. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, what I've seen about Graham Platner so far is, yeah, he's made a lot of mistakes and did a lot of not so good things, right? But what I also see is him saying, yes, I was a different person back then, but then since then I've woke up. None of that screams I am actually a secret Nazi that's out to fool everyone. I just don't see that. I mean, why would you go through all that effort when you already have actual Nazis on the right? Why not just run as a Republican as a Nazi? You could do that. You could do that. Okay. Look, what I do see as well as establishment Democrats wanting to make sure that not a whole lot changes. And that's why I believe Janet Mills was encouraged to run. And I'm not saying that Mills is terrible, right, or anything like that. You got to give her credit for fighting back against Trump as aggressively as she has been, against his anti-LGBTQ stuff. And that's all good stuff. That's all good stuff. All right. Now, Sammy said that she had been really impressed with Mills's fight against Donald Trump, but she didn't agree with her being tapped by Chuck Schumer, in this race. Okay. She said, I voted for her for governor, but not for this. I don't think she has the ability to make change. I almost read a quote by Platner for some reason. No, I wasn't, misgendering or anything like that. Not trying to anyway. Again, Mills did say that, yes, she would stand up against Donald Trump. Okay. But the big problem is you've got to do more than that. You have to attack the conditions that created Donald Trump. Okay. And that's not what Mills is willing to do. Okay. Unlike Platner, she does not support Medicare for all, does not support a wealth tax against the billionaires, not calling out the oligarchy, okay, or condemning the U.S.'s blind support for Israel and their attacks on Gaza. Platner is positioning himself as a New Deal Democrat. And I do think that is what we need. I do believe that after everything that has happened in these past couple of elections, the Democratic Party really does need to double down on working people. And I know that can be scary. And there's a reason for that, okay? Working people are not perfect. Working people sometimes say stupid and hurtful shit that, yeah, we can't always take back. And that's the issue, okay? We do make mistakes, and sometimes we make big mistakes. But as long as you learn from them and become a better person, then a lot of people are willing to overlook that, to forgive, okay? And so that's the thing, okay? This is something that resonates with a lot of voters. It doesn't resonate with partisans as much, obviously. But it does resonate with independents, people who don't live and breathe politics like we do, okay? And don't obsess over the latest gaffe or political scandal. I think there's a lot more worse scandals that are happening right now with the far right. Got to understand, too, that the people that are not exactly living and breathing in politics, the people that are showing up at Platner rallies are the people that decide our elections. And so I think it's important to kind of focus on that, right? Rather than some of the so-called scandals, okay? Or, other issues, right? That are not policy issues, right? A Reddit post from 10 years ago is not exactly a policy issue, okay? And is not, I think, as important as who we put into positions of power, okay? If a person has said bad things and is remorseful of those things, but also supports good policy positions like Medicare for all, taxing rich people, living wage, things like that, then I think, I would rather go with that person who has said bad things in the past and feels bad for them than for someone who came out of a squeaky clean, focus tested group, kind of running that kind of campaign, because what we've seen, especially in recent elections, is that those people who are focus group tested and, got their political consultants everywhere that are telling them, oh no, you can't call Republicans weird. Okay, you got to appeal to the moderate in the city, the centrists. Those are not winning us elections. Those are losing us elections. The consultant class and the overly squeaky clean people that end up never being squeaky clean. Okay, there's always something because we're human beings. Those people never really have that air of authenticity that a lot of people are looking for right now. And so, from what I've seen right now, Platner has that support and has that authenticity. And for me, I'm willing to give him more of a shot, especially since he's polling really, really well against Mills, and might be the ticket to beating Suzanne Collins. And if that's the case, yeah, I'm willing to overlook some Reddit posts and a pretty terrible tattoo. And that's the thing too. I'm not downplaying that it was a terrible tattoo. Oh, it absolutely is. When you're in the military, I have friends that are in the military, right? My friend I went to high school with, and this guy, he got his nipples pierced for some reason. I don't know why he did that. I might have to ask him one of these days. It's a weird question, though. Why would you do that? Now, this man, I mean, in the military, there's a lot of drinking. They do a lot of drinking. Okay. And so, yes, when you do that, you make some pretty terrible decisions, some pretty dumb decisions. And yeah, I believe that tattoo was one of them. But again, that's not the thing that really bothers me here. Because again, it is something that, yeah, doesn't look good. But you know what? I think his policies are much, much better and much, much more important. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.